Welcome to Festpod, the unofficial rock festival guide. I'm Neil Wilkinson, and we are back for our 50th episode.
50?
Yeah, 50th.
Oh my god. We're getting old.
Wow.
Yes. So let's welcome my fellow hosts. Now, from, let's have a look here. From Wales, from North Wales, just off the A494.
Absolutely, just off the A494.
We have Rich Holmes.
Hello there, sir. How are you this fine October evening?
I'm all right. We've got a special episode planned, so I'm a little bit. I don't want to say nervous, but I'm sort of excited.
Excited, aroused, erect. I'm all of them.
All of that.
It's the big 5-0, nearly your age.
Fuck right off.
Half a century of episodes. This is special, baby. Boom.
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 And then let's head south. Let's go south to.
He's due east. He's due east.
He's not due east, is he? He's down south.
A bit of both.
In the Midlands. Yeah, a bit of both. He's a bit of both. In New Toxeter, just off the A50.
Off the A50.
It's Shorty E. Welcome, Shorty E.
Hello, how are we? Are we good?
We are good. How has your October been?
Honestly, October has been lovely. We are some days in. It's been pretty special. It's been busy with work and real life stuff, but we're good. We're here at the 50th episode. That's exciting.
I know, I can't believe it. So we've got exciting things, but before we get into the excitement, let's encourage you to follow us on the socials. If it's perhaps your first time watching us, just search for Festpod on all the socials. Not all of them, because some of them seem to be disappearing. Some new ones are appearing. We don't quite know what's going on with the social media. But for the ones that we're on, Festpod is what you need to search for. And if you like the show and you'd like to support us, we're also on Patreon. So search Festpod there as well. If you're listening to us on your podcast app, then have a little tickle up on YouTube, because we're live there too. And if you're watching this on YouTube, have a little tickle up on your podcast app and take us with you.
Hello, YouTube.
Hi, YouTube.
Yes.
We're real people.
So, we have the amazing Adam Gregory with us for our 50th episode. He is the festival director, or one of the festival directors, for Bloodstock Open Air. So we'll be having a good old chat with him shortly. So what I'd like to do first is just have a little chat. Just have a little chat with my fellow hosts, just to say hi, and just to have it, because it's the first one back since festival season finished. And, you know, I just want to check in on you and just make sure you're doing all right. And have you put your tent away? And
No.
you know, are you?
I'm not. I'll be honest. It's October, and my tent and a lot of my camping shit is just sat on my dining room table. I've not done anything with it.
No
really bad.
way, Eamon.
I've got my tent out after Bloodstock and like re-rolled it and dried out a little bit, but other than that, it's just sat on my dining room table.
I'm acting all outraged, but my tent is by the front door.
Mine is in bin bags on the shed, not back in its bag yet or rolled up. So I think we're all guilty of this, aren't we?
That's it.
Because this is the thing after a festival, you come back and you get all the stuff out the car, shove it wherever there's space, and gradually over the next few months, things might get put back in places.
We've got no excuse, Neil. We didn't camp at Bloodstock. We stayed at a cottage. We went cottaging.
Yeah, very true. When did you last use your tent?
Let's not go there. But yeah, so in this circumstance only, Eamon's got one up on us.
Yes, he has.
It's not one up that I'd like to have, I'll be honest. Like, the dining room's just a write-off. I did put some chairs away the other day, but that's only because they stayed in the car after Bloodstock, and then we took them to a barbecue. And then they've only just come out of the car. But that's the reason.
So we've had there's little bits of there's trickles of festival news that's around at the moment. But what we'll do is we'll get into festival news next episode and have a good long chat about all the stuff that's going on. But I think before we get too excited about next year and all the things that are coming up, let's look back at Bloodstock this year, which we've certainly got our money's worth out of. I think.
Yeah.
We've talked about it a lot. But just to put a cherry on that cake, here's Adam Gregory.
What a lovely cherry he is too.
What a lovely cherry he is too.
He'll love that, I'm sure.
I'm sure he will.
All right, so we're very lucky to be joined by Adam Gregory from Bloodstock. Welcome to Festpod.
Thank you for having me. Looking forward to it.
So at the time of recording, it is mid-October, and we've had a bit of a chance to calm down from this year's Bloodstock open air.
Yeah.
How are you reflecting on this year's event?
To be fair, we've probably literally just about finished mopping up from this year, really. Paying the bills and, sort of getting the bills paid and all that type of stuff. And we've got debrief starting, funny enough, this week, ready for 2024. So, it's been good. It's been a good one. Another good one, which is great.
Sounds like non-stop then. Takes up your whole life, I'm imagining then.
Yeah, well, believe it or not, Vicky's already talking to bands for 25. So, wow. Yeah, it's certainly more than a year-round thing, which is great. And it prevents me from having a proper job, which is even better. So
that's all any of us want in life.
Oh, yeah.
So have you come from a normal job at all? Did you have a normal job and then you've had to put all your time into Bloodstock?
Yeah, I mean, I was working as a fleet manager for a well-known Japanese motor brand for 18 years while I was doing Bloodstock. So it's only really been the last 4 or 5 years that I've been full-time on it. And Rachel joined me full-time probably 4 years ago. So there's kind of two of us full-time. Vicky's still got a day job, so she has to do everything she does, plus work properly as well. So yeah, and my dad just does what my dad does, keeps coming up with new ideas and being creative and painting pictures.
That's amazing. So obviously, like your dad started Bloodstock, didn't he, all those years ago? And so you said about you've been with the festival for like 18 years. So were you involved in the very kind of first incarnation of it?
Yeah, I mean, it was Paul and Vince that originally started it back in 2000, with the first one happening in 2001 as a one day. And back then, I think Vicky and Rachel were on the stalls doing merch. I was kind of just really backstage trying to find something to do, whether it was going out buying riders for the bands or picking bands up from hotels. It's, you do everything and anything at that time. We had no clue what we were doing. So it was a case of anything was kind of exciting just to be involved.
Would you say that you've managed to find your role? I mean, is it something that's developed over the years and you've thought, right, I'm comfortable doing this, so this is what I'm going to do?
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of, my background's kind of sales and logistics, and I'm generally quite organised and have quite a pragmatic brain. So, that kind of suits and sits well working with Rachel, as we kind of do a lot of the infrastructure side of it. We do the non-glory bits that, Rachel gets no thanks for at all, which is, it's all the accounting and the paperwork and the contract approvals and things like that. We work with, some great people from SC Productions that are very sort of skilled and knowledgeable in what they do. And over the years, we've kind of developed and honed certain skill sets. Vicky's great at booking the bands with Simon. Rachel's great sort of back of house with me, and I sort of excel on that, plus a bit of sponsorship and marketing and the creative side of things when we're sort of looking at bringing in the new bits. I always bring in the new bits and everyone goes, oh, I don't know. It's the scary bits that they don't want to do. I mean, it's like when I said this year, I think we should kind of do bin jousting now properly for next year. It's like, oh, I don't know. But we're doing it anyway, so we'll see.
I mean, that leads us on to a wonderful question of
oh, go on.
Why? I mean, obviously, I know for health and safety reasons why it's such a hot topic, but what made you actually finally legalise it, if you like, and how much pushback did you get?
The pushback generally is from health and safety, and rightly so, because, most years people have kind of ended up injured and hurt and whatnot doing it. But the problem is, as much as we've tried to stop it, and we have tried to stop it, we've pulled the bins out, we've took the wheels off bins, we've chained the bins, and they still, all they do, you take the wheels off, they just get 10 extra people pushing, and then you've got divots in the soil. So, we've kind of come to the sort of realization that if to a degree you can't beat them, you've kind of really got to join them. And if we're going to do it and we're going to allow it, we need to sort of bring in some rules, and we need to bring in some safety measures. So there'll be crash mats, there'll be helmets, we'll put some extra padding around the bins. We don't want to take away from the raw fun, but we've got to make sure that we try and make sure everyone's having a safe, enjoyable time. We had a guy a few years ago who, I think he'd been at the festival 20 minutes, went straight into the bin jousting, and then spent the weekend in hospital with a few broken bones. So, we don't want that.
No, nobody wants that.
Bin jousting is one of the kind of the legendary things of Bloodstock, and I'm not in any shape to participate in bin jousting. Sadly, however, I'm thinking we should enter a Festpod team next year, maybe. It sounds like a logistical nightmare, and obviously you're putting things in place to kind of mitigate that risk.
Yeah.
Are you still worried at all?
You're always going to be. I mean, to a degree, how far do you go? You could look at, sort of mosh pits. They can be dangerous. There's anything that involves any kind of physical activity, physical contact could be considered, a concern. But you're not going to stop mosh pits, and you're not going to stop as hard as we've tried the bin jousting. Maybe even a little bit of reverse psychology, because we said you can do it. Maybe they won't.
And now it's legalised. It's not taboo anymore. People don't want to do. I like it.
Yeah, we can't be naughty anymore. We need to find something else to do.
So are you having to kind of buy your own bins for that, so you don't damage the contractor ones? Wow.
Yeah. I mean, the reason again, it's not purely down to safety. That's obviously the biggest factor to it, but generally we tend to get hit with anywhere between sort of £5,000 and £9,000 worth of cost every year when they just do it on their own, because we get charged for all the damage to all the bins, and they don't sort of repair them, they replace them. And they gave them to us in good condition, they expect them back in good condition. So and it's one of those things, you try and mitigate costs wherever you can, because you want to keep the ticket pricing as low as you can without having to keep putting increases in. But then sometimes people don't help themselves. So we've thought, well, if we buy a few bins, I've got a body shop guy ready to sort of on standby to pad them out and reinforce them so that they're safe, or as safe as can be, and then we'll sort of see where we go from there.
I bet this is not a road you thought you'd have to go down.
No, never. Never. To be honest, we thought, they'll get bored in a year or two and we'll stop it and they'll be on something else, but no. It's become, and to be fair, it's almost a bit of a rite of passage of Bloodstock, I think, for Midgard, and it's kind of homed its own home. You've got a lad called Top Hat who's sort of the instigator / compare / manager of that, if you like. So we've embraced him officially as well, and that's taken on board.
Bring him on the payroll.
He always seems to be that guy that starts it all every year. So it's like, well, okay, fine, let's do it properly, and see how we go with it. We'll still have the inflatables, of course. We bought inflatables this year, so
people sign disclaimers, or
there will be a disclaimer. Yes. Yeah. There has to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can't be held liable for any of this.
No. We don't want the full stop. We don't want them doing it. But if they are going to do it, we need to make it as safe as we can.
Are you going to partake?
Yeah. Oh, no, I'm not. No. That was a blase. Don't quote me on that one. No, I'm not. No. I'll be doing what I normally do. I'll just be watching from afar.
It's just one of the things that makes Bloodstock unique.
Yeah.
I mean, do you look at other festivals and try to be different?
No, I don't necessarily think we try to be different. We just try to be Bloodstock. I think we've been doing it 23 years. We've been doing it a long time, 24 years next year. We've been around a while. Not by any means going to say we're the best at it in the world or the worst at it in the world. What we do seems to work. We listen to the fans. We engage as closely as we can. We don't sit in offices backstage hoping everything's okay. We go out amongst the crowd, we have a walk around, we're saying hello to people, talking, getting feedback in real time, because like, for argument's sake, if there's something not working, I don't want to hear about it on Monday, Tuesday. Myself and Rachel need to know about it as it's not working, because then we can implement a change and a fix. So for us, I think we want people to experience what we would want to experience at a show and at a festival. So it's important that you actually are in touch with every touch point, car parking, camping, and we get the feedback, we listen to the fans. So you can't get everything done every year that people want, but where there's a call for certain things to be done by, a number of people, then we'll try and action that.
I think that kind of really shines through with how the festival's organised. Is you want the best. You make your music fans at the end of the day, and that's the festival you want to go to, and that kind of family atmosphere and environment really kind of shines through. And I've been happy to bring my kind of, at the time, 7-year-old stepdaughter with me, which I'd never dream of doing that to, kind of like your download, if you like, because just number of people, size, arseholes. But I've never experienced, I mean, obviously there will be, but I've never experienced any kind of bad blood at Bloodstock, if you pardon the expression. But it's like, it's family. It's family. Yeah. It's home. Yeah.
I mean, generally it's not. I'll always say whenever you get a collection of people, you can always get the odd bad egg that sort of turns up or two. I think it's important for us that we weed those people out as quickly as we can, and we deal with them appropriately at the time. I don't want Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday people walking away thinking it was great, but, because somebody ruined it, and the worst part about it is not everybody always reports something as it's happening. They kind of try and deal with it quietly or grumble about it or ignore it. I don't want them doing that. We want them, anything negative, aggressive, abusive, we want to know about it straight away so that we can go and at least have a conversation and try and nip it in the bud. So, where those negatives can happen, and I will never sit and say any gathering of people you won't get that, but if it does happen, we want to know about it straight away.
I get that there's no average festival day, but generally, what does an operational day look like for you at the festival?
The festival itself, you literally turn up and see what happens. And it's kind of bizarre that you think that's the state of play, but obviously, again, looking after the sponsors and the brand partners, etc. We have a team of people that go out there and make sure they're all happy. Myself and Rachel are in the office generally. We have a meeting in the morning before we open the gates with every department head. So, health and safety, fire, licensing, sound, all the medics, everybody that sort of turns up, and we do this meeting 3-4 times a day. And we want to have a progress, how are the gates looking, how are the campsites looking, any issues, any problems being reported, and so we're doing that quite regularly. We'd love to be out there sort of just standing there watching the bands, but you don't, because ultimately you end up juggling plates because something's not working quite right, or we've got this issue we need to deal with, and the fans won't know about it because we like to think, and we hope to think, we're on everything as it's happening. And we want the experience of the fans while they're there to be seamless, and it's that old adage, isn't it? It's a swan on the river and the legs paddling like crazy underneath, but ultimately the serenity on top is what shines through. So I think for us, myself and Rachel get very, very busy, and because we are touching every single point, I like to think that we know everything that's happening, to the smallest thing to the biggest thing. So if security, for example, have had to deal with somebody, we know about it kind of literally as it's happening in real time.
Wow.
If there's a fire hazard or something like that, we know about it in real time. We've got a good communication team around us, and everything's reported back, because ultimately we're responsible for everything. So we have to make those calls and those decisions kind of on the hop, if you like, sort of every minute of every day. We get there, I certainly get there around about 7:15 in the morning, and I'm probably leaving on show days certainly at between 12 midnight and 2 a.m, something like that, depending on what's going on. But we'll have a walk across the stages, make sure the sound monitoring and the sound levels are okay. We have phone lines that the local residents can call in case there's any sound concerns or anything else like that we need to sort of be aware about. And we have a monitoring team that's out 24/7 across the festival, literally just measuring sound at designated points around the sort of the area that we operate. So there's a lot people don't know about.
I really appreciate it. I used to be security event manager for an event that was about 30,000 people.
Yeah,
but
you'll know.
It was a single point though. There wasn't kind of like multiple venues. It was a single venue, And you're right, like the noise monitoring, your health and safety, local authorities, safety advisory group, all of that, just, it's constant go. And I'd love to be a shadow for a day on a festival day, because it's all well and good kind of being that kind of like security director for one arena. And I guess, you know, a festival is an arena.
Yeah.
But having multiple stages, we were supposed to be catching up with you during the festival, but it started pissing down, didn't it? Yeah. And you were off because the stage was getting flooded. And it's like, that's how I remember that kind of operational stuff is you just, you turn your hand to anything. You just pitch in with anything you need. And it's just like, that's how it comes together and how it works. I love it. It's great.
I mean, I've been involved over the years in putting fencing together, and, you know, sort of every job, everybody just mucks in and gets on with it. But it shines through on how important it is to have a good team around you. You know, so having great production managers, stage managers, site teams, stage crews, and everything else like that. You know, all the people and the volunteers that we work with as well, and the bar teams. Everybody on site has that kind of same ethos that we've developed over the years, because it's not just, it's another show, it's Bloodstock, and people tend to sort of, the feedback we get anyway, is people tend to sort of view it quite differently, because they really look forward to working it, because it's a great experience. You know, to me, everybody is equal. There's nobody that's sort of bigger or better or higher or lower than anybody else. We all just do different things, you know, and without one person doing one element of whatever they're doing, you know, the show can't go on. It's as simple as that. You know, even as much as the cleaning teams, which people think, the cleaners. No, they are critical. You know, you get to a site in the morning and the stage opens and you've got no rubbish or anything in the arena from the day before. Nobody really appreciates the amount of work that the guys have had to do throughout the night to make that happen. You know, it's monumental. And then after the festival as well, putting the site back to its original condition, ultimately before we arrived, is huge. You know, and to me, they're probably one of the most important teams of the whole show. You know, and everything they do is hugely appreciated. So everybody has a role, and, you know, everyone is as important as the next person, for certain.
So it's a huge team, but obviously you do work with family.
Yeah.
So how's that?
Here's the thing. If you work for a normal company, you can't swear at them very much. You can't say your true emotions and true feelings. When you work with family, you can, and to a degree, get away with it. You know, because it's not because you're being overly aggressive, either of us, and I'm guilty of it, Vicky's guilty of it, you know, Rachel to a far lesser degree, because she's always the moderator, usually when me and Vicky have a falling out, or me and one of the other team members. But basically, I think because there's so much passion involved in what we do, to try and deliver the best possible, you know, sort of experience right across the board, from booking bands to entertainment to bars to everything, it can get colourful. You know, and we've had it pre-show, post-show, during the show, where we've had fallings out. You know, and I would say working with us is quirky, and you get used to those quirks. I'm trying to be polite. You know, it's you get used to those quirks, and it's one of those things that I guess we're kind of a little bit unique for compared to a lot of other shows.
I suppose the biggest question from that about working with family is, who would win in an arm wrestle between you and Vicky?
Well, probably Vicky. You know, who knows? I'm not into that kind of stuff. I'll give her that one, because this is probably going to go live and she'll get all upset with me if I say Nick.
So can we talk about Metal to the Masses?
Definitely.
Obviously, it's run by Simon Hall now. But what does it mean to you and to the festival to have a nationwide battle of bands competition, culminating in the winners taking a place on your new Blood stage? I mean, it must be so exciting.
It's lifeblood. I mean, Simon refers to it as very much as the heartbeat of the festival, and he's not wrong. You know, we've got to invest. Paul, my dad, obviously, you know, it was his original concept. You know, he's an artist by trade and a very creative individual, and he's one of these believers in sort of forging the new sort of era, if you like, of bands and artists alike. And for him, it was very much along the lines of, you know, he wanted to support new upcoming bands and give them an honest, true platform that wasn't pay to play, or you've got to sell tickets, or you've got to bring so many people along, or anything else like that. You haven't got to put a retainer in or whatever. All you have to do, turn up, give it your best, let's see what happens. And it, you know, back when we started it, it was tough, because when you're doing a Metal to the Masses show or any kind of band competition, the instant reaction from promoters and from fans and bands was, oh, here we go, it's another Battle of the Bands competition, and what's this going to cost? And it took a long time and a lot of work from Simon to convince people it was honest and it was true. You know, it's not a battle of the fans when it comes to picking winners. It's down to whoever's judging on that day, and predominantly on the finals. Simon tries to get to all the shows as much as he can. And he's certainly going to make more of a concerted effort this year to see if he can do every show, which he was talking to me about the other day. You know, it has to be about the band's physical performance on the day. You know, can they deliver in front of a crowd and give the best possible show? Because we want not only the best bands found, we want the best sort of show for the fans, but we want to see a band that comes through, they've put themselves through a lot of work to get there. What happens after Bloodstock? Don't just disappear into the ether and never to be seen again. You know, I think it's got to be around, for certainly for bands anyway, how they present themselves and how they promote themselves at the festival itself. What opportunities do they take? If they turn up, do their bit, and then go and get absolutely smashed, the chances are that's going to be their pinnacle. But if they turn up and think, you know, we've had a couple of drinks, we're enjoying it, we've done a great show, right, I can go and speak to press, I can go and do a meet and greet with the fans, I can go and speak to sort of agents and managers, you know, and try and get us that next show, that next gig. The Bloodstock show itself should be a stepping stone. That's all it should be. It's a step up. Simon does his best, as does Vicky, to keep an eye on the bands that come through, and see if we can elevate those to higher stages years, you know, 2, 3, 4, however many years later. And we've done that with plenty of bands over the years that have kind of got up to that sort of next level and have promoted themselves up through their own hard work. You know, and it's great to see that element to it, because you're seeing a level of progression. So we want to find the next Maiden, Metallica, you know, Sabbath, whoever else it may be that's out there, and they're there. They just don't have the platforms outside of what we're doing, really, in a commercial sense.
I think it's a wonderful initiative, and you know, I've attended many of the heats and finals regionally, and then seeing some of what become your new favourite band, the New Blood stage. It's my favourite stage at Bloodstock. It's just, there's so much diversity in actual kind of the genres that are actually on stage, and just the untapped talent. And we see it from the flip side this year, where these bands actually approached us as a podcast to speak with us and get their name out, get their images out. And it was just seeing what it meant to them. And they all spoke so highly of Simon and the whole Metal to the Masses program that I think it's an absolute credit to the festival. It really is.
It's a credit to Simon, it's a credit to the bands, and I think the biggest credit goes to the fans that support it, because you said yourself, you've been to these finals, and a lot of these shows sell out. You know, and these are unsigned bands that people generally haven't heard of, but are being massively supported by the fan base. And I think that's so important for that to happen, that, you know, they feel as though there's a future for them, because people are encouraged by success. You know, and when they get a good fan base following them, they're going to keep pushing forward. You know, and they're going to have the hard shows, but if they can have the wins, such as Bloodstock and the Metal to the Masses heats, finals, etc., I think that's worth its weight in gold.
One of the things it was my first time at Bloodstock this year, just to let you know. And one of the things that I thought was great was the fact that you announced next year's headliners during the festival.
Yes.
Which I just think is a great way of selling tickets for next year.
Yeah.
But it cuts out a lot of the sort of speculation, and, you know, people know what they're getting. People know exactly what's coming, and they can get sort of excited for it. And do you think, because the thing is, you look at a lot of other festivals who don't release their lineups for whatever reason until, you know, months and months and months later.
Yeah.
But I really was impressed, actually, because it really gets the crowd going. It's a great sort of topic of conversation for everybody. Do you think is it a sort of special thing for Bloodstock to do? Because it seems unique.
I don't think it's necessarily unique to Bloodstock. I just think it's the fact that we do it. You I think other festivals have done it in the past, and I'm sure they'll do it in the future. But it's such hard work. Okay, let's go back 10 years. You used to talk to agents to book a band. They wouldn't talk to you a year out. They would say, your show's not for a year. Come back to me in 3 or 4 months and we'll have a look.
Right.
Whereas now, you're not just a year ahead. You kind of, and I said this earlier on, Vicky's talking to bands already for 25. In some cases, you're 18 months, 2 years ahead. So I think bands, and it's kind of really, I guess, propelled itself since COVID, because everybody had to put everything on hold for a year or two. So nobody was out touring and doing shows. So they had a backlog of shows. So then they became to a case that we need to forward now plan. We're doing this year because we couldn't do anything last year. Next year, what are we doing? Okay, what are we going to do the year after that? So bands are starting to plan a little bit further ahead.
Yeah,
it's helpful for, I think, more to the point for the fans, because as you said, they can make informed decisions. And if you can tell the fans when they're all together and they're enjoying the weekend and they're having the best time of their lives, guess what's coming next year?
Yeah.
That whole hype element of this is amazing, I can't wait, I want to come. I think it's important, and it allows us to, if you like, put the message out to our biggest captive audience possible. And that captive audience is right in front of you on the weekend itself. So I don't think there's a better time to announce a band personally. But it is down to, it's not just down to the shows, it's not down to Bloodstock, it's down to the agents, the managers, the bands, if they're able to make those decisions that far ahead. And a lot of cases now they can, but there are bands that for whatever reason and for whatever level they sit at, necessarily don't make those decisions that quickly. So it's not always the festival's fault. I think we're kind of blessed where we sit that we have a lot of options available to us that we can talk to quite in advance of the show, and make some good decisions. So we'll do the same next year. We already know that we'll have 1 or 2 bands locked in well before next year, and hopefully go out with a dozen or so for 2025.
Wow. That's always one of my favourite parts of Bloodstock is that kind of next year's lineup announcement, and the crowd. Well, I say in the crowd, standing at the bar in the Jägermeister tent, as where I can usually be found. And it's like I'm in a mouth for next year. One of my favourite bands in the world at the moment, and I have been for some years. But I also love the reaction to bands like Architects when they're getting booed. Same up with Parkway Drive, and Parkway Drive fucking killed it. It was a great booking. Yeah. And Architects will do exactly the same next year. They will kill it, and they'll have the crowd eating at them out the palm of the hand. Yeah. And I just love that kind of, that raw emotion of people getting their favourite band announced. People are getting a band which they don't really know announced. And
I think it's a true reflection of the sorry to cut across. I think it's a true reflection of the fans' true feelings. When you announce something online, the most vocal people that ever go online generally tends to be negative, and they amplify their voice, and those that are sort of agreeing with them amplify that initial voice. I think when you do it in an environment that's physically live, you get that true reaction. Now, when we announced the bands this year, and most of the bands were the same, but certainly the one that you would say would be the risk, if you like, if we go to a Parkway Drive scenario, you would say, okay, that's Architects. The voice of the fans clearly spoke. It was certainly for me the loudest cheer of every band we announced this year was for Architects. And I thought that was superb.
Absolutely. I got to admit as well, I wasn't a Parkway Drive fan.
No.
And I didn't boo. I'd never boo a band. It could be the person next to say a band that wouldn't do that. But I was like, well, it's an interesting booking. And I went and I thought, you know what, I'm going to watch the show. They blew me away.
Yeah.
And they absolutely blew me away. And you think, this is why they're booked, because they're fucking brilliant.
Well, look, Vicky goes to the shows, throughout the year with Simon and with her partner Alan, and she sees a lot of these bands live. So she's seen the show. Conversations are had of, okay, well, how are you going to sort of, from whether it's the Ali Pali or whatever else it might be, change that show for a festival environment, for a headline position, let's say, where Parkway Drive, Architects, whoever. And, Parkway Drive said, just trust us, we'll do it. And they absolutely, as you said, blew it out the park by far. And to be honest, I'm expecting very much the same from Architects. I'm expecting an amazing show that's going to wow the crowd, and everyone's going to be absolutely in awe of that band. And I think where we did with, and we've done it with Hatebreed over the years, where their initial reaction, it was kind of a bit, is it good, is it bad? They're absolutely loved by the Bloodstock crowd now. So are Parkway Drive, and I'd expect the same outcome for Architects. I think it's going to be a great show.
And I think that's one thing you can give to the Bloodstock fans is they might not be sure, they might not be your classic Bloodstock type band, but they still turn up and watch them, and they still give them the respect that they deserve, and then they walk away with more fans. I don't think you get that at many of the festivals, certainly not in the UK, because people just wouldn't turn up to watch them.
Well, look, from our side of things, if you look at a lot of the bigger festivals, I'm not going to name any names, obviously, but they've got to sell tickets for big numbers of people. They've got to have sure things. They've got to have certain headliners that are kind of guaranteed ticket sellers. I think the way we tend to work for Bloodstock, we like to think as Bloodstock as the headline, rather than individual bands. In the same way, if you could turn around and say, and by means, I'm not comparing us to it, but Glastonbury sells out because it's Glastonbury, not because of necessarily who's playing. It's very much sold on the show. And it's the kind of similar ethos we want Bloodstock to be. It's because it's Bloodstock, not necessarily who's playing it, because you're going to have a great weekend, you are. The bands have still got to be quality, good bands that are going to deliver a great show. But, from our side of things, we want to propel those bands that have generally sat top end of the bill on, let's say, other shows into headline slots. That's going to start putting them up the ladder, because it's important that we start to encourage and promote those next headliners. That's the critical thing, because we can't keep recirculating everything that's already out there as a headline show. We've got to start propelling and pushing those bigger bands that are out there in front of eager, willing audiences that want to sort of support.
So you've been at Catton Hall in Derbyshire for a long time now, isn't it? Since you were at an indoor festival.
Mm.
Do you see a time in the future where you'll outgrow the site?
We've got the potential for sort of, depending on orientation and some clever jiggling around from the site teams, to expand a little bit more. Aspirationally, we don't think we want to be any bigger than sort of 25,000. And that's not to... For us, it's not just a commercial, sell many tickets, get loads of money, and, happy days, let's all go buy a Ferrari. If that was the case, that would be fantastic. It's not. I'm driving around in a second-hand 8-year-old car that I love to bits, and, it is what it is. It's not about the money. It's about delivering a show that, for us, we're proud of, that we know everything's happening. It's not too big that you lose control of it. Not that people lose control of bigger shows. It's just that feel that the fans have with Bloodstock being as it is and the size it is, I think would be a terrible shame to lose that because we get too big.
Yeah.
And you can't then manage that experience, whereas at the moment we can manage that quite well.
Because the layout does tend to stay the same, doesn't it, every year? So I guess if everything is within, you know where everything is, like the street that you live on, if nothing changes, then you're quite comfortable in managing your own activity.
Yeah, we want to bring in different elements and different things to sort of improve the fan experience, and whether that's activation, quirks, some more cosmetic enhancements and things like that, which I think are great to do. But ultimately, if it's not broken, I think don't try and fix it. Don't meddle, because I like to think at the moment, and I think people generally tend to agree, we've got a relatively solid formula that works pretty well. So I think, if you meddle with it too much, people are going to miss elements that we remove and may not sort of gel with newer elements we sort of bring in. So the changes that we make, if anything, are subtle and thought out rather than just sort of thrown in for, a reaction.
I think one last question from us. We've got a couple of listener questions, if that's okay.
Sure.
Who would be your dream booking for the festival?
I'm an old school rock fan. And I'd love, and I met them a few years ago when they played in Nottingham. I personally would love Def Leppard as one of the headliners one day.
Wow.
It would be a classic Sunday close. Whether they're outside of our budget at the moment, possibly, but it would be, for me, I just love that band, and it's one of those bands I've kind of grown up with over the years and kind of really loved everything they've done. I didn't kind of gel very much with the latest orchestral element of what they did. I preferred more the old school stuff, but it's each to their own, isn't it? So for me, I would like that old school hit, and then coupled that, I'd love Slayer to reform again, and come back and do another show.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah,
but I mean, Def Leppard are a Marmite band for a lot of people as well. But I love them, and I've met Joe a few times because he's a massive fan of Ian Hunter of Mott the Hoople, glam rock from the 70s, and I'm a massive fan of Hunter myself. So I've had beers with him at shows before, and he's such a nice guy that he'll probably play Bloodstock for you. Just ask him. Just ask
Next
him.
time you see him, I'll put you on a commission. Don't worry, you have that one. We'll sort yeah. I mean, there was a story, funny enough, and whether I should tell this or not, I don't know, but I'm going to tell it anyway. They had a load of guitars went missing years and years ago, and somehow we got offered these guitars probably about 5, 6, 7 years ago on the kind of black market. We're not into the black market, but somebody approached us and said, "I've got these guitars." They wanted a fair bit of money for them, and we just said, "No, I'm not paying you that." But we thought, you know what? If they are, what a great thing to be able to get hold of and whatever. But if they're not, okay, we've maybe lost a little bit of money, but it's not the end of the world. So we agreed a deal, ended up getting these guitars in, and genuinely we contacted the band. They were their guitars that went missing, and there was 15 of these guitars, including a Hysteria guitar that was all sign written, a couple of really expensive ones. Joey had a very small sort of practice guitar he used to use backstage before he went out. And we reunited them all with the band, which I thought was such a lovely thing to do. For us, it was not a case of, oh, look at us, look what we've done. I just thought it was a part of history, because I kind of grew up with it, and as did Rachel and Vicky and everyone else grew up with Def Leppard. For us, it kind of had to be done. It was the right thing to do. We didn't ask the band to pay us money back for or anything else. It was just one of those things that I just felt that if we didn't do it, part of history would be lost. And probably sold off in sort of fractious bits and everything else, and not to be returned. So it was lovely to be able to sort of get these back. I mean, they stunk, I have to say. They did smell a little bit iffy. I don't know where they've been stored, but I think Joey, I spoke to him about it at the time, and I think they were taking them back in to get them all reconditioned and sort of put on display. So nice little story.
So they owe you.
yeah, maybe we'll see.
Perhaps remind them of that when you're booking.
Yeah, I think when I send that to the agent, he'll probably snip that bit off. So,
so Matthew Pepper asks, will Bloodstock ever get any TV coverage?
It's a bit of a difficult one, and we do talk to TV companies about it quite often. But this is what concerns me a little bit, to the fact it annoys me more than concerns me, is that you get that same response of, well, it's not really commercial TV, is it? It's a bit extreme, isn't it? And it's like, well, no, it's not. You broadcast and play some horrific music on certain channels. And it is, I'm not going to lie, some of this stuff is absolute drivel that goes out there.
Yep.
Where you've got then metal that's got so much emotion and raw power behind it and talent, and it has one of the most, the longest standing, widest reaching followings across the globe. Yet it seems to be, certainly from the extreme side of things, very much put on the shelf because they don't think there's a commercial appeal. And I just think whoever's making these decisions is obviously a pop culture individual and not a music fan. So, yeah. I'm a little bit annoyed about that, but that's what it is, yeah. So we do keep trying, and maybe one day they'll employ somebody that knows about music and they'll make the right decision.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Deserve it. Sarah Thompson asks, and please let me go through these very quickly, whether the dressing gowns will be back in stock? Will the Spudman van be in the main arena, or do we need to vary it? Did Vicky swear a lot when Ben Joseph was made official, and what time do the gates open? Now, I Bloodstock Live on Facebook and Insta, I get what she's getting at, but she says, in all seriousness, can you book Andromedas to play the Sophie stage?
Well,
and also, when are the dressing gowns coming back in stock?
Dressing gowns will be coming back in stock. They sold out much quicker than we thought, so they're coming back soon. And we'll post up on the socials when that happens. What was the next question? Does Vicky swear a lot? Absolutely. Yeah. Certainly behind. When she does interviews, every time she goes to an interview, I have to say, do not swear. Because she cannot help herself sometimes. Because I think she swears at Alan quite a lot at home, so she's kind of used to doing it.
We should get her on Festpod, she'd fit right in.
Probably. I haven't swore once.
You haven't? I've noticed. You've been very good, yeah.
My last cheeky question, actually, it's not cheeky because it wasn't me that said it, but Katie Gosling asks, can Festpod have press passes again next year, please?
Absolutely, why not?
Yeah. That's a genuine question from one of our fans, honestly.
Yeah, no, look, at the end of the day, we want to support the likes of yourselves. I've watched a lot of your shows, I enjoy them, and I think doing some Bloodstock specials and some content at the festival is absolutely bang on. So, yeah, 100%.
Thank you. We had a wonderful time.
Whenever you're ready. We
had a great time.
Our team, so just make contact with them and they'll get it sorted.
We had a great time. Kirsten and Michelle were absolutely phenomenal.
They're amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, especially my first time at Bloodstock as well. What an introduction. No, exactly. No, I'm coming back, hopefully.
Good. Glad to hear it.
So thanks, Adam, for joining us. We've got into some great subjects there, haven't we? We've learned lots, and we're just raving for next year now.
Yeah, we can't wait. Can't wait to welcome everybody back. And if you've not got your tickets, you know what to do. There you go.
Cheers, Adam.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. Thank you.
So thanks again to Adam Gregory for having a chat with us. Eamon was absent during the entire thing, but that's all right. We're catching him up.
It's all right. My mum wrote me a sick note.
Did she? What's the excuse? What's the excuse this time, Shorty?
It's whatever she can bother to make up. Whatever I pay her to say.
Were you at some local rap battle or?
Yeah, it was me, John Cena, and that guy from No Mercy many years ago. Just,
From No Mercy.
Wrapping it out.
Wow.
So yeah, we are just mad looking forward to Bloodstock next year. Even when we were there and all the acts for next year were being announced, it's just looking like a great lineup.
It is, and there's a lot of buzz, a lot of excitement. I can't wait to see what Architects do as well.
Yes.
Same as Adam said, what Architects can do, it's going to be the same. You know, they're going to have the crowd eating at the palms of the hands, just like Parkway Drive did when they were a bit of a Marmite band. It's exciting times. I cannot wait for next year. And also, can I just put on the record to Kirsten and Michelle, I'm sorry that we didn't bring you wine this year. My contact didn't tell me this until after the festival, so we owe you a bottle of wine each. I do apologise. Much love.
What's this about, Rich? I don't know about this.
We're supposed to supply wine to the PR girls.
Oh, are we?
Yeah, we fucked up.
Oh yeah,
unofficially, but yeah.
Black market wine or something.
Yeah, black market wine. Yeah. I was told
myself.
I was told post festival by Squatter that we should have taken wine for them. It's like, for fuck's sake, man, why didn't you tell us beforehand?
Okay. Well, that's in mind. Thanks for chatting to us, Adam Gregory, and we're going to wrap the show up here. So it's time to plug what else you do. So let's start off with Shorty E, because you are a very busy man these days, aren't you?
I'm a busy man all the time, with life.
You are.
But yeah, Fug life, crazy fugonomics.
The doctor of
fugonomics. So obviously we've got my my Twitch streaming life, twitch.tv/ShortyETV. I'm also doing some random shit on YouTube now where if you really like my voice for some reason, because you're a weirdo, you can listen to me chat about other stuff that isn't music. I'm calling it a podcast. It's not a podcast. This is a podcast. But it's not a podcast. I'm just chatting shit.
Is this why you couldn't be asked coming to London for the last episode? Because you were too busy swanning about your new mate and your new podcast?
I wish it was that. But it's, yeah. So that's all YouTube. YouTube/ShortyE, Twitch/Shorty, everything/ShortyE.
/
Just go.
Oh, so it's the same channel. It's not a different channel.
No, anything. I'm keeping everything under ShortyE on YouTube, right. On Twitch, on everything.
Okay.
It's just me. For people that like me, which is at least my mother.
So no, she doesn't like you. She told me she doesn't like you.
Well, she's like contractually obliged to care.
She said, no. She said you're a cunt. She said to me, "I wish you were my son instead of Eamon." That's what she said to me. And I said, Irene, that's not fair. Okay, just because he's a cunt, he deserves a mother. Love him.
I'm sorry, Mum. I'm sorry.
Okay,
I'll get better. I promise.
Yeah, so Eamon's mum, just tune in to the YouTube channel and see if he gets better. So it's Shorty.
That's got it going on.
It's ShortyE everywhere.
Right. Okay. Rich Holmes.
I'm so sorry, Neil. I'm such a twat.
I don't know what the hell's got into you today.
I'm just high on life, brother.
Okay.
I am high on life.
Yeah.
And, obviously, we're recording this on Friday, the 13th of October.
Oh, I forgot to mention that, yes.
Right?
I didn't even know.
Tomorrow, we are seeing the mighty Crushed by fucking Waves. Who the fuck are Crushed by Waves, motherfucker? Right?
We are, yes. I've misplaced... Well, I've not misplaced it. It's in the other room, my hat. I don't always keep it close to hand.
Hang on. Bear with me.
Right, okay, he's putting his hat on. It says Crushed by Waves. Oh, your hat on over the... Oh, I see. Now then.
There it is. Wow, they've got a good merch range if it fits your head.
Aaron, I fucking love you, brother. I'm going to see you tomorrow night. I'm going to cuddle you, and you're going to cuddle me. And I'm going to buy some Crushed by Waves merch. Love the new T-shirt. Let's get on it. New video out as well. Get on it. Crushed by Waves. Who the fuck are Crushed by Waves? Get on them. Fucking love them.
Yeah. I mean... okay. So what else do you do?
I just do Crushed by Waves.
Is that all you're plugging?
That's all I do. I'm not worth plugging.
Plug yourself.
My butt plug failed. And I can't hear you.
Potentially quite messy.
Well, I got some ass water first, give me an enema. Obviously, all the photography shit, Richard Holmes Photography, on the socials. I'm not doing much at the moment. I'm hoping to get back out there. It's winter time. It's my favourite time.
Do you not fly your drone in winter time?
Yeah.
Because you can potentially get quite nice shots,
Yeah.
I should imagine.
You've got to be careful with the temperature and like dew points and stuff because.
There was some technical shit involved.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
I wouldn't.
Fuck that. Forget it.
Yeah, forget it.
I couldn't explain it because I'm just a drone operator.
I see.
I thought you were a pilot.
No, I'm definitely not a pilot. But you can.
You were corrected by a comment in.
No. I am what I am. I will get the drone out in the coming weeks and months. Hopefully get some nice kind of snowy stuff, icy stuff, frosty stuff, Jack Frost.
So if you like pictures,
basically, yeah.
Follow Rich Holmes. It's Richard Holmes Photography, isn't it?
Thank you, Neil. Thank you very much for plugging me.
Wow.
So if you like what you've heard, bless you, please consider supporting Festpod on Patreon. We are relaunching that as... what did we decide we were going to call it? Because I've forgotten now. We've had
VIP Club?
Something like that.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Was it VIP or Backstage Club or VIP Club?
VIP Club.
It's really strong branding. It's really
yeah, man.
It's so strong that.
Well, we chatted about a month ago, maybe, but yeah, we're rebranding as VIP Club, I think, and so it's going to have a live feed, so you can watch all of this happen.
Fuck! Why would anybody do that?
Well, some people like.
If you have a spare 6 hours to spare to watch us record this live.
Yeah, exactly. And if there's any outtakes, of course, you'll get to see them as well. You'll get the show early.
Ad free.
And there's bits of merch that you get as a Patreon
certain levels after 3 months, you get some merch.
So there's nice little bits that you get as a VIP club member. We'll iron that out a little bit and make sure it's a bit more.
It's a jumping off point. It's a jumping off point. That's what it is.
Yeah. So the other thing I wanted to mention was the fact that if you want to, if you've noticed my beautiful hoodie and
nice breast,
what a beautiful hoodie that is you got on, Neil. Where can we find one of them?
Well, you can go to Etsy.com and search for Festpod to find our store, where you'll find all kinds of merch. There's lots of nice stuff on there. And if you have enjoyed this program, please interact with it. Whether it's a like, whether it's a review, whether it's a subscribe, it tells the system that you're using, yes, I like Festpod and I want more. Which is more. So that's helpful, thank you. So that is it for this special 50th episode of Festpod, the unofficial rock festival guide. Thank you if you have listened to all 50. You're very special.
Here's to the next 50.
Can you imagine? And of course, thanks to my amazing co-hosts, Rich Holmes there and Shorty E.
I've been dead good. I've been dead good today. I was dead good with Adam. I was dead professional.
Yeah. And
now I've lost all of it.
I was late. I didn't show up. And now I'm here.
And also thanks to our previous hosts. That's Dave Kingdon from maybe episodes 1 to 10. And Lee Ellingham. Episodes 1 to probably 35. I don't know, or something like that. But we've had a number of hosts, and this is how we are presently. Thanks for listening and watching, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.
A Wilco Productions podcast.
A bit of both.